Okay, now we're at the fifth point. Um, okay, so I'm just gonna take this from a professor of mine. Uh, Basically, he told me, you know what the Lotus Sutra teaches? It teaches this, that you're absolutely nothing. Sometimes I don't I don't necessarily agree that we're nothing. I don't necessarily want to believe that I'm nothing, but sometimes it'll help. And that's why I'm saying this. I don't see anywhere in the Lotus Sutra it's saying that I'm nothing or anyone is nothing, but I heard this from a professor who was extremely intelligent and academically very gifted. So, you know, and I thought it was fitting in this way to mention it to you guys because it will sometimes help. So, when you remember that sometimes you're nothing, like for example when you're suffering tremendously, and sometimes you are something. So, or maybe even everything. So, I basically just keep these like sort of two opposites in mind sometimes. I recall them rather. Uh, it comes to me in times that it will help. So the two are you're something, you're nothing. Okay, and of course this has to do with the middle way in Buddhism, and the middle way is also for the middle way too. So sometimes the extremes are the middle way. Um, but balance is largely good, I'd imagine. And then another thing is I'd like to talk about chapter one. I'd like to quote chapter one of the Lotus Sutra. It says, "Don the clothes of the Dharma." Um, yeah. So don the clothes of the Dharma. What does that mean? They put aside their happy lands, their palaces, their men and women attendants, shave their hair and beards, and don the clothes of the Dharma. For me, this means basically you're leaving the secular world and then you're entering like the religious world. Uh, yeah. Um, so let's say the secular world includes work, includes all relationships, romantic or friend relationships or parental child relationships, um, all relationships, and school. So these three factors: work, relationships, and school. This is what composes the secular world. Uh, I mean, in my opinion. And basically, don the clothes of Dharma means you leave the secular world to enter the religious or spiritual world. In this case, if there is a Buddha or a guru, you follow that guru through leaving the household life. And basically, what this teaches in general is that work, relationships, and school, they are a part of your life, but they're not your whole life. So the secular world is a part of your life, and even the religious world is also just a part of your life, not your whole life. Um, yeah. So this has to do with the middle way, but I think, as people say, love is blind, for example, and when you get into a romantic relationship, you might suffer a lot simply because you make that person your whole life, but you have to never forget that they are only a part. And just like they are a part of your life, you are also a part of your own life. So how can you just think about that person all the time and not care about yourself, forget about yourself? This is absolutely ridiculous and impossible. Because if the other person loved you, they would want you to be happy and not always be thinking about that person because they know that it's impossible for you to be free and happy if you do that, you know? And the same thing goes for them. You are not that person's whole life. You are only a part of that person's life, your partner's life, right? So breaking through that delusion is, quite easy and logically is sound and is something that I think is best taken up as soon as possible. Um, and I actually want to quote Sadhguru here because Sadhguru gave me the idea. He's like, relationships, love relationships, never see that. your partner as your whole life. See them as a part of your life. And then basically he's like, if a part of your life, which is that relationship, which is that person, your partner, if they become your whole life, he's like, a part becomes a whole. Is that not a sickness of the mind? And I was like, you know what? That makes complete sense. Um, and it makes so much sense. In fact, that's why I quoted him here. Um, I mean, yeah, Sadhguru is extremely wise, and extremely knowledgeable, and I completely agree with him here. Of course, he's also much older than me and gone through um, this kind of relationship, which I've yet to experience. He said, "When a part becomes a whole, is that not a sickness of the mind?" And yeah, I mean that's why I quoted him here. Um, okay.